Greetings and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I've got a fairly controversial review for you. Some people probably say that I'm a sellout or say that I'm tarnishing the good name of metal by even talking about American modern groove metal titans Five Finger Death Punch. However, there's absolutely no denying that when Iron Maiden and Metallica as Black Sabbath have already stepped off the touring circle, when those other bands follow suit, there's only going to be a handful of bands that are really going to be able to step up to that headline slot at big festivals across the world or headline the massive arenas, and it's going to be the likes of Five Finger Death Punch, of Slipknot, of Avenged Sevenfold, of Ghost, of Bring Me the Horizon, these big gateway bands, and they're accessible. They're going to reach radio coverage and therefore reach people that are not going to be exposed to heavy music, or they're not going to easily stumble across the likes of Autopsy or Firewind or Napalm Death in their day-to-day walk of life, maybe through word of mouth, but they're going to come across bands like Five Finger Death Punch where they've got big singles, they're getting a lot of coverage in the media, all over social media, this, that and the other. So yes, I'm going to talk a little bit about Five Finger Death Punch. I used to be quite a big fan when I was a lot younger, maybe an early to mid-teen. They were just a big name. Certainly with the first sort of 3 or 4 albums, or the Wrong Side of Heaven, Righteous Side of Hell Part 1 and 2, the 4th and 5th albums, if you like, they were a big name, they were a big deal. Along with Slipknot, they were some of the more extreme but accessible bands around. So I was quite a big fan, but over the years, sort of grew less interested in them, I have to admit. I do have their other albums, actually. I've sort of picked them up along the way. But for some reason, I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to give this new 9th studio album, Afterlife, a go. After not really having much to do with the band for a number of years. To be honest, it's not a bad album at all. It's a pretty good album. Some pretty crazy artwork there. There's the guys on the back looking equally crazy. It's not a bad album at all. We've got 12 tracks. I would say that this is sort of modern metal, like fairly groove metal based. Not overly extreme, but it's heavy enough. There's plenty of swearing, there's plenty of great riffs. It's not easily radio friendly material, to be honest. There's a few slower, more melodic numbers here, but overall, yeah, it's a pretty good album. It's a pretty groovy, heavy album. Pick out a few different numbers here. The opening track, Welcome to the Circus, that's a pretty good, heavy, groovy number, a bit weird, just some good riffs. Not too much to say about this whole album, really. I mean, it's not overly complicated, but tracks like that opening track, that's a heavier number. Afterlife, the title track, second track there, big memorable chorus, good vocal work from Ivan there. He's got good vocals. He manages to cover the clean singing and the more aggressive, sort of harsher vocals quite well. And he's a good front man, certainly. You've got the sort of slower paced, I should say, more emotive tracks, the softer songs. You've got a number of them on this album. You've got Times Like These, the third track. You've got Thanks for Asking, and the closing track, The End. The biggest of all of them, though, is All I Know, the 10th track there. That is a very emotive piece. Not bad at all. Not bad songs, just quite soft. You can see and hear that they could be good radio rock numbers or radio metal, radio friendly. They're going to be more accessible, easier to tolerate for people who aren't into the more extreme end of metal. If you want heavy, we're looking at Roll Dem Bones, which is pretty random song title. I'm not sure what the dem bit is all about, but hey ho. Maybe that's just because I like correct English, I don't know. So we've got Roll Dem Bones, and what was the other one there? We had Gold Gutter, Blood and Tar, IOU. That was a good heavy moment as well. So yeah, you've got some good heavy moments there, but Roll Dem Bones specifically and Gold Gutter have some pretty irresistibly heavy breakdown moments. And I think even the most avid or devoted cult true metalheads will no doubt be able to at least enjoy those nice crunchy heavy breakdowns. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, we've got Blood and Tar and IOU. They're really good heavy tracks actually. Standout moments, I would say certainly IOU. There's a few tracks here, I don't know how else to really describe them other than being a bit hip hop, a bit sort of, I'm not going to say rap, but it almost a bit on the new metal spectrum. But they're a bit, it's this sort of the beats and the noises in the background. I don't really know how else to describe it, so I'm going to say hip hop. If you listen to it, you'll understand what I mean. Judgment Day, the 6th track there, is the most notable of those hip hop tracks. I'm not going to say it's a terrible song. Again, there's some good vocal work, but it's just not really my cup of tea, all that. So yeah, overall, it's not a bad album. It's heavy in places, it's emotive in others. It's a good band, they're good musicians. They now have guitar virtuoso Andy James in the band, British fellow, in fact. Previously worked with Sacred Mother Tongue, who were a good band, and I know that he has a few solo albums out himself. I've got Chris Cale on bass, Charlie Engen on drums, Zoltan Bathory on rhythm and guitar, and then you've got Ivan Moody on vocals. So Ivan and Zoltan being the two sort of constants in the band. Solid enough lineup, good musicianship. There is some great solos and great guitar work throughout. Really nice heavy rhythm section with the guitars and the riffs. Plenty of crunch, plenty of heavy weighty riffs, which is what we want. And as I say, Ivan's vocals aren't bad at all. He's a good vocalist. He can do the extreme, he can do the clean. So there you have it. 5 Finger Death Punch, Afterlife. Say what you like, think what you like. I'm just trying to keep an ear to the current and more popular, I suppose, more accessible scene, because, well, it's not that I dislike it, but it's also that I think it's quite good to be familiar with what else is going on, rather than just living in the underground, sort of cult, more obscure metal realms. And that's absolutely fine too, of course. But hey, every once in a while you surface from those deep, dark depths of metal and you find a few little gems worth listening to. So I would say worth listening to for sure. If you had never listened to 5 Finger Death Punch, you'd never thought to even bother with it, you think, nah, dismiss that, too mainstream, too popular. I probably wouldn't start with this album. I would probably go for some of the early material. In fact, I can easily grab what I would probably start with. I would start with this album, the second album, War is the Answer. It's a much more metal, groove metal heavy album. Very good stuff. There's some great tracks there. I still like this album. Haven't heard it in, can't even remember how long, but it's certainly a good album. And then this album, this is The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 1. Number of reasons. The songs are killer. It's really heavy, You have guest vocals on a few tracks, but notable names: Rob Halford from Judas Priest. You have Max Cavalera from Soulfly and Jamie Jasta of Hatebreed. So, and also part 2 is also worth listening to. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the review. Give the album a chance. Hey, you got nothing to lose. One quick Spotify listen and you never have to listen to it again. But let me know what you think. I'm interested to hear if there's any other fans that maybe have a bit of a guilty pleasure for a few more mainstream bands. Hey, there's no harm in it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care, my friends. Stay heavy.